Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Before we begin, we would like to take a moment to correct an error made in one of our recent news reports. In the June 18, 2025 edition of News Today, in the news titled Revised Mission Document of the National Mission for a Green India or Green India Mission GIM unveiled, it was incorrectly stated that the Green India Mission was launched in 2011. The correct information is that the Green India Mission was launched in 2014. Now coming back, let's take a look at the headlines. Bihar set to become first state to adopt e-voting for urban polls. India and Canada agree on restoration of high commissioners according to Foreign Secretary. Ministry of Education releases Performance Grade Index 2.0 for 2022-23 and 2023-24. Maharashtra government has issued government resolution making Hindi the third language in schools. Global ocean darkening threatens underwater ecosystems. In a major push towards electoral innovation, Bihar is set to become the first state in the country to adopt electronic voting or e-voting for urban polls. The Bihar State Election Commission has decided to roll out an e-voting system using an Android-based mobile platform for the upcoming municipal and urban body elections, scheduled later this month. So, what exactly is e-voting? Electronic voting systems allow people to cast their votes using electronic devices like computers, voting machines, and even smart cards. In Bihar's case, the process will rely on two Android-based mobile applications, one developed by CDAC and the other by the Bihar State Election Commission under the name e-voting SEC-BHR. To ensure security and authenticity, the system has been equipped with robust features like blockchain technology, liveness detection, and facial verification, which includes a face match, live scan, and comparison. Additionally, just like VVPAT in EVMs, the system will generate an audit trail for each vote. This will help track and verify votes, making the process both transparent and tamper-proof. Moving to the significance of this development, e-voting can vastly improve accessibility, especially for groups who face barriers with traditional voting methods, such as migrant workers and persons with disabilities. It is also more suited to young and mobile voters, making the process easier for first-time voters and encouraging the formation of long-term voting habits. By reducing the time and effort needed to vote, this method could also increase overall voter turnout, particularly among marginalized or mobile populations. However, the move is not without concerns. E-voting remains vulnerable to hacking, manipulation, and fraud. Voting from home also raises questions about privacy and ensuring a coercion-free environment. Furthermore, such a system could exclude citizens without internet access or digital literacy. In conclusion, while the adoption of e-voting is a significant stride toward electoral modernization, its success depends on effectively addressing cybersecurity risks, digital exclusion, and ensuring that voter coercion is prevented. Only then can this step truly enhance accessibility and trust in the democratic process. In a significant diplomatic development, India and Canada have agreed to restore the presence of high commissioners in each other's capitals. This move marks an important first step towards stabilizing bilateral relations that had seen a major setback in 2024. The Prime Ministers of India and Canada reaffirmed the importance of India-Canada ties during a meeting held on the sidelines of the G7 summit. The meeting is being seen as the beginning of calibrated steps towards the restoration of stable bilateral relations following recent diplomatic disruptions. Let's turn to the other key outcomes of the meeting. Both leaders reaffirmed their shared interest in promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific. They also discussed new opportunities for future collaboration in key areas such as clean energy, education, and supply chain resilience. In addition, the leaders agreed to restart negotiations on trade agreements. Now, what led to the fallout? Tensions had escalated due to the issue of Khalistani extremism, with Canada harboring separatist elements that pose a threat to India's sovereignty. A major flashpoint was an unofficial referendum on the creation of an independent Sikh state, which took place in Canada in 2023. Further, the diplomatic crisis deepened following the killing of a Sikh separatist leader in Canada. Allegations made by Canada about the involvement of Indian diplomats resulted in the expulsion of diplomats by both countries in October 2024. Security cooperation between the two nations also suffered, as Canada remained unresponsive to India's repeated extradition requests for individuals wanted on terrorism charges living in Canada. Despite these tensions, India and Canada share strong foundational ties, anchored in values of democracy, cultural diversity, expanding economic engagement, and vibrant people-to-people connections. In 2023, India's exports to Canada stood at USD 7.53 billion, while imports from Canada were valued at CAD 5.12 billion. The countries also have formal consular agreements, including a mutual legal assistance treaty signed in 1994 and an extradition treaty dating back to 1987. On the science and technology front, the collaboration spans across domains such as polar and Arctic studies and sustainable fuels. A major milestone was in 2018 when ISRO successfully launched Canada's first low Earth orbit satellite during the historic 100th PSLV launch. Civil nuclear cooperation also remains a key pillar, with a nuclear cooperation agreement signed in 2010 and brought into force in 2013. As both nations take steps toward mending diplomatic ties, the restoration of high commissioners could mark a new beginning, one that reinforces the potential of a stronger India-Canada partnership on the global stage. In a major update in the field of education, the Ministry of Education has released the Performance Grade Index PGI 2.0 for the years 2022-23 and 2023-24. The PGI is designed to holistically assess the performance of school education systems across states and union territories. It utilizes data from multiple official sources, including the Unified District Information System for Education Plus, National Achievement Survey, PM Poshan Portal, Prabandh Portal, and Vidyanjali Portal. Moving to the background, the Performance Grade Index was initially launched in 2017 and later revamped as PGI 2.0 in 2021. The structure of PGI 2.0 comprises a total weightage of 1,000 points spread across 73 indicators grouped under two categories: outcome and governance and management. These two categories are further divided into 6 domains: learning outcomes, access, infrastructure and facilities, equity, governance processes, and teacher education and training. The evaluation is conducted across 10 grades based on scores out of 1,000. Let's take a look at those 10 grades. A score between 941 to 1,000 points, 91% to 100%, is classified as Daksh, while 881 to 940, 81% to 90%, falls under Utkarsh. Scores from 821 to 880, 71 to 80% are graded as Ati Uttam, followed by 761 to 820, 61% to 70%, which is Uttam. The middle tiers include Pracheshta 1 for scores 701 to 760, 51% to 60%. Pracheshta 2 for 641 to 700, 41 to 50%, and Pracheshta 3, 581 to 640, 31% to 40%. Lower scores fall under Akanksha 1, 521 to 580, Akanksha 2, 461 to 520, and Akanksha 3, 401 to 460, covering up to 30% of the total marks. Now let's look at the key findings of the report. Notably, no state or union territory achieved the top 4 grades, namely Daksh, Utkarsh, Ati Uttam, and Uttam. Among all, Chandigarh emerged as the top performer, being the only region to attain grade Pracheshta 1. On the other end of the spectrum, Meghalaya stood as the lowest performer, placed in the 10th grade, Akanksha 3. When we look at the overall trends, the report highlights that 24 states and union territories showed improvement in their scores in 2023-24 compared to 2022-23. However, 12 states and UTs, including Bihar, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Karnataka, witnessed a decline in their scores. This comprehensive index provides a clear snapshot of the strengths and areas for improvement in school education across the country. In a notable development in the field of education, the Maharashtra government has issued a government resolution or GR making Hindi the third language in schools.
This decision is part of the implementation of the State Curriculum Framework for School Education 2024, which is aligned with the National Education Policy or NEP 2020. As per the official order, Hindi will now be taught as a third language to students of classes 1 to 5 in both Marathi and English medium schools across the state. However, the government has also introduced a degree of flexibility. The resolution provides an opt-out option, stating that if 20 students per grade in a school express interest in learning another Indian language, they may do so in place of Hindi. The move ties back to the three-language formula which was originally introduced in NEP 1968, based on the recommendations of the Kothari Commission. This formula emphasized the learning of a mother tongue or regional language, the official language, and a modern Indian or European language. NEP 2020 builds on this foundation by promoting the three-language formula in a non-impositional manner. It encourages the inclusion of at least two native languages, giving full consideration to the choices of states, regions, and children. Furthermore, it advocates for the medium of instruction to be the home language, mother tongue, local or regional language at least until grade 5 and preferably till grade 8 and beyond. The need for such a language policy is underlined by constitutional provisions. Article 350A mandates that the state facilitate instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage, especially for linguistic minorities, while Article 351 provides directives for the development of the Hindi language. Culturally, the policy supports multilingualism and multiculturalism, aiming to promote national unity and provide cognitive benefits to young learners. However, there are challenges in implementing the three-language policy. One major concern is politicization, as multilingual education is sometimes perceived to threaten linguistic identity. For instance, son of the soil protests in states like Maharashtra and Karnataka reflect such sentiments. There is also a debate around choice versus imposition, with many arguing that learning languages should remain a personal or community choice, not a mandate. In addition, critics warn that including three languages at the primary education level may overburden students, especially in an education system already grappling with basic literacy issues. Implementation too presents practical hurdles, especially in linguistically diverse states like Nagaland and among tribal communities where limited resources and a shortage of qualified teachers further complicate the rollout. While the intent is to create a multilingual and inclusive educational environment, the real test lies in balancing flexibility, capacity, and cultural sensitivities, all crucial for the successful implementation of the three-language formula. In a concerning development, scientists have warned that global ocean darkening is emerging as a serious threat to underwater ecosystems. A recent study by researchers from a UK university reveals that 21% of the world's oceans have become darker between 2003 and 2022, with the Arctic, Antarctic, and Gulf Stream region witnessing the most pronounced changes. But what exactly is ocean darkening? It refers to a reduction in light penetration into the global oceans, which in turn shrinks the photic zone, that is the sunlit layer of the ocean, roughly 200 meters deep, where nearly 90% of marine life is found. According to the study, this darkening trend may be driven by ecological shifts, possibly linked to phytoplankton and zooplankton blooms, which alter how light travels through water. So, what's causing this decline in ocean clarity? In coastal areas, the primary drivers include nutrient, organic material, and sediment loading near the coast, often stemming from agricultural runoff and increased rainfall. These inputs cloud the water and block sunlight. Meanwhile, in open oceans, the darkening is associated with surface warming, which can trigger algal blooms as well as climate-induced shifts in ocean circulation patterns. The consequences of ocean darkening are far-reaching. Marine ecology and overall ocean productivity are being hit hard, as light-dependent processes like growth, communication, reproduction, and photosynthesis are hindered. For the fisheries industry, this means a decline in fish stocks due to habitat compression and disrupted reproductive cycles, all of which threaten global food security. Additionally, ocean darkening is impacting the climate itself. The ocean's capacity to absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen is being impaired, affecting its role in climate regulation. In conclusion, as the darkening of oceans continues, the findings serve as a stark reminder of the deep and cascading effects of climate change. Scientists warn that urgent, coordinated efforts are needed to reduce pollution, limit warming, and preserve the ocean's delicate balance.
In today's Place in News, we will talk about Croatia with its capital Zagreb. The Prime Minister of India recently visited Croatia. Located in southeastern Europe on the Balkan Peninsula, Croatia shares its borders with Hungary to the north, Montenegro to the south, Slovenia to the west, and Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina to the east. The country also has a long coastal strip along the Adriatic Sea. Croatia is a member of both the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. Geographically, the country is home to the Dinaric Alps, its major mountain range. Among its major rivers are Sava and Drava. In terms of climate, Croatia experiences two major types: a continental climate with warm summers and cold winters, and a mild Mediterranean climate along its coastal areas.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. India launched Operation Sindhu to evacuate Indian nationals from Iran in the backdrop of rising tensions between Iran and Israel. 110 Indian nationals were evacuated with the assistance of Iran and Armenia. India has amicable ties with two other neighboring countries of Iran, Turkmenistan and Iraq. Recently, SEBI has banned the director of IIFL Securities, among others, for front-running. Front-running is an illegal practice of purchasing a security based on advanced non-public information regarding an expected large transaction that will affect the price of a security. SEBI has relaxed a few compliance burdens in the stock market to encourage reverse flipping to boost startup IPOs in the country. Reverse flipping describes a practice where startups that had earlier established organizational structures in offshore jurisdictions shift their domicile back to their home country. Recently, INS Arnala was commissioned into the Indian Navy. Named after the historic coastal fort of Maharashtra, it is India's first anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft. It showcases indigenous design, engineering, and manufacturing, signifying transition from a buyer's navy to a builder's navy. Recently, Indonesia's Mount Levotobi Laki-Laki volcano erupted. The volcano is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone known for intense volcanic and earthquake activity. It is located on Flores Island in Indonesia. A recent study finds global agarwood trade dependent on wild endangered trees threatens their conservation. Agarwood is created when trees are wounded and infected by fungi, producing resin as a defense mechanism. It's found in India's northeast region. Tripura's capital, Agartala, derives its name from agarwood. Recently, FASTag Annual Pass was launched by the Union Ministry of Road and Transport to enable seamless highway travel. It is a device that employs radio frequency identification technology for making toll payments directly while the vehicle is in motion. Sahitya Academy has recently named 23 winners for Yuva Puraskar and 24 for Bal Puraskar. Sahitya Academy is India's National Academy of Letters and the only institution that promotes literary activities across 24 Indian languages, 22 scheduled languages, and English and Rajasthani.
Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.